The history of music, evolution of sound. Close your eyes for a moment. Listen. Can you hear it? The hum of the world around you, the rhythm of your own heartbeat. That steady pulse has been with humanity since the very beginning, a reminder that music isn't just something we created, it's something we are. Long before the first word was spoken, before the first wheel turned, there was sound. And within that sound, our ancestors found something extraordinary, the power to connect, to heal, to inspire, and to transform. This is the story of music, your story, humanity's story. It's a journey that spans hundreds of thousands of years, crossing every continent, every culture, every human heart that's ever beaten. And here's what makes it truly remarkable. This story isn't over. In fact, you're writing the next chapter right now. Imagine the African savanna 50,000 years ago. Our ancestors gather around a fire as darkness falls. One of them picks up a hollow bone, perhaps from a vulture, and blows across the holes carved into its surface. The first melody drifts into the night sky. This isn't just entertainment. This is survival. This is community. This is the birth of something that will outlive empires and reshape the human soul. These early humans didn't have recording studios or concert halls. They had sticks and stones, animal skins stretched over hollow logs, their own voices echoing through caves. But they understood something profound. Music could make the unbearable bearable. It could turn individual voices into a unified force. It could make the gods listen. In every ancient civilization, music emerged not as luxury, but as necessity. The Sumerians wrote hymns on clay tablets 4,000 years ago. The ancient Egyptians played harps for pharaohs and farmers alike. In India, the Vedic chants became the foundation of an entire spiritual tradition. In China, Confucius taught that music could transform society itself, bringing harmony to chaos. Think about that. Thousands of years ago, people who never met, who spoke different languages, who lived oceans apart, they all discovered the same truth: music has power. Fast forward to ancient Greece, where music became philosophy. Pythagoras discovered that musical intervals weren't random. They followed mathematical patterns, the same patterns that govern the cosmos itself. Music, he declared, is the harmony of the spheres. The Greeks gave us scales, modes, and the very word music, from musike, the art of the muses. They understood that certain sounds could make you brave, others could make you wise. They used music to educate, to heal, to prepare warriors for battle. But here's what matters most. They democratized it. Music wasn't just for priests and kings anymore. It belonged to everyone who could feel, everyone who could dream. Then came Rome, carrying these musical traditions across 3 continents. When Rome fell, the Catholic Church became music's guardian in Europe. Monks in stone monasteries developed Gregorian chants, single, haunting melodies that seemed to bridge earth and heaven. They created the first written music notation, ensuring that songs could travel through time itself. Meanwhile, in the Islamic Golden Age, scholars preserved ancient Greek musical knowledge that Europe had lost. In West Africa, griots passed down histories through song, creating rhythmic traditions that would one day cross an ocean and change the world forever. The Renaissance exploded with possibility. Suddenly, music could be printed. Composers could reach audiences they'd never meet. Polyphony emerged, multiple melodies weaving together like threads in a tapestry. Music became more complex, more emotional, more human. Bach, in his Leipzig study, composed mathematical miracles that made people weep. Mozart, still a child, rewrote the rules of what was possible. Beethoven, deaf, isolated, suffering, created symphonies that screamed defiance at fate itself. His Ninth Symphony declared that all people are brothers. Music wasn't just reflecting the world anymore. It was trying to change it. But the real revolution was happening somewhere else. In the fields of the African savanna, enslaved people created spirituals, songs of sorrow and unbreakable hope. They took African rhythms, European hymns, and their own unbearable pain and forged something entirely new. Gospel music emerged in black churches, shaking the walls with joy that refused to be extinguished. Then came the blues. Out of the Mississippi Delta, musicians like Robert Johnson and Bessie Smith transformed suffering into art, so raw, so honest, that it spoke to something universal in the human experience. The blues taught us that music could tell the truth, even when the truth was hard. Jazz exploded in New Orleans like fireworks. Louis Armstrong's trumpet, Duke Ellington's piano, Charlie Parker's saxophone. They took improvisation and turned it into high art. Jazz said, you can follow the rules or you can create something nobody's ever heard before. Jazz was freedom in sound. Then came the 1950s and everything changed again. Rock and roll burst onto the scene. Elvis gyrating on television, Chuck Berry's guitar licks, Little Richard's wild energy. Parents were horrified. Young people were electrified. Music had become rebellion. The 60s amplified everything. The Beatles showed the world that a band from Liverpool could inspire global transformation. Bob Dylan proved that folk music could challenge presidents. Motown, led by visionaries like Berry Gordy, demonstrated that black artists could dominate pop culture and break down barriers. Aretha Franklin's voice became synonymous with respect, dignity, and the civil rights movement. Jimi Hendrix played the Star-Spangled Banner at Woodstock in 1969, his guitar screaming and wailing, turning the national anthem into a question, a challenge, a prayer. That's what music does. It takes what we think we know and shows us something deeper. Hip-hop emerged from the Bronx in the 1970s, block parties where DJs like Kool Herc extended the breaks in funk records while MCs rhymed over the beats. Nobody could have predicted that this would become the most influential musical movement of the next 50 years. Hip-hop gave voice to communities that had been silenced. It turned poetry into power. From Grandmaster Flash to Tupac to Lauryn Hill to Kendrick Lamar, hip-hop has been a mirror held up to America, reflecting both its beauty and its wounds. Technology democratized music creation. The synthesizer, the drum machine, the sampler. Suddenly, you didn't need an orchestra. You needed vision. Electronic music, from Kraftwerk to Daft Punk, showed us that the future of sound had no limits. Country music told stories of working-class America. Punk said you didn't need to know how to play, just something to say. Grunge captured a generation's alienation. Pop stars like Michael Jackson and Madonna became global phenomena, proving music could transcend every boundary. And through it all, musicians kept innovating, blending, creating. Latin music, K-pop, reggae, metal, indie folk, every genre a testament to human creativity. So why does any of this matter to you? Because music's history teaches us something crucial. You don't need permission to create. You don't need perfection to start. Every revolutionary moment in music came from someone who refused to accept the limits of what had come before. The enslaved people who created spirituals had nothing, but they had their voices. The teenagers who invented rock and roll weren't trying to make history. They were just trying to be heard. The kid with turntables in the Bronx wasn't seeking fame. He was throwing a party. Music's evolution shows us that the most powerful creations often come from the margins, from people who weren't supposed to matter, from voices that weren't supposed to be heard. Right now, somewhere, someone is creating the music that will define the next generation. Maybe it's being made in a bedroom studio. Maybe it's being hummed by someone who doesn't even know they're a musician yet. Maybe it's you. The history of music isn't about the past. It's about the eternal human need to express what words alone cannot capture. It's about connection in a disconnected world. It's about taking pain and turning it into beauty, taking joy and amplifying it until others can feel it too. Every song you love, every rhythm that makes you move, every melody that makes you cry, it's all part of this vast, continuous story. And the best part? The story needs you. Because music's next evolution won't come from looking backward. It'll come from someone brave enough to try something new, someone willing to fail, to experiment, to share their unique voice with the world. The history of music teaches us that change is inevitable, that creativity cannot be contained, and that the human spirit will always find a way to sing. So the question isn't whether music will evolve, it's whether you'll be part of that evolution. Pick up that instrument, open that software, hum that melody, share